I was born up in the Taita Hills. My father is a clergyman. So you can well imagine I was being brought up in a very Christian manner, and I was very disciplined. So I thought. At about the age of 9, he was transferred to Nairobi to come to the All Saints Cathedral as the first African chaplain. Now, while he was there, he met a headmistress of the first multiracial school, Hospital School. So my father decided that he should bring me to Nairobi to come and join this multiracial school. Of course, coming from the village, I had no shoes. I didn't know how to wear the shoes. But my father was determined that I should come and join this school to benefit from this particular education. So I came, and there were 8 Africans in this first multiracial school. And the grounds were near State House, along Arboretum Road. I did my education there, and we went on. During holidays, we used to go back to Taita. But more important, and what is interesting, our house was next to All Saints Cathedral. Now, during the holidays, to help my father raise money for school fees, I used to go and work as a petrol attendant. And I always remember I never went with any lunch, but it didn't bother me, because the white people, when they brought their cars for petrol or whatever, they were impressed by my English. So they said, "Where is that young boy to come and serve me?" So they used to give me very handsome tips. So by the end of the day, I had collected quite a bit. And that's also where I got my money for lunch. And what was my lunch? I always used to go to a duka near the market. Was Coke and a jam tart. That was my lunch every day when I was there. So that was part of what I did during the holidays. But at the same time, because of the hard times, my mother and my father decided that we should get a shamba, from the church to now Uhuru Park. It was all grass and whatever. So we used to dig there. We had our shamba there. We grew maize, sweet potatoes, and beans. And that's what we were getting our maize from, our food from. So I used to go and help in digging, getting meals for the family.
I was born in Idongori, Kiambu district. My father was called Isaiah Ngangira Gatei, and at early stages, my mother was the youngest, the young wife. He had 3 others ahead. And but because of Christianity, I remember there was something like he must give up the second wife. So he sent her to the mission school at Kamboi to go and help and learn. So we others, the others remained at home, and my father educated them, and they all went to Alliance, and they got their education. So when I came, I'm the second on my mother's side. And I am called after my father's mother. That's why I am Mombi. And I love it because the people I have been with, they always call me Mombi. Otherwise, I was baptized to be Elizabeth. Ngangera was my father's name, and the other name came, Madoka came. Okay, now, what happened is those older brothers, because they had gone to school and my father had helped them, they also felt they should help the young ones. So they also worked very hard for me to be sent to Kikuyu Mission School, because they went there. And I was sent there at Mambere, and I started there. That is during emergency
In
time.
Nairobi, capital of Kenya, Europeans and Africans still walk the streets in fear of the dreaded Mau Mau.
The Taitas were a very religious people, so they never really got involved with the Mau Mau. But Mzee Kenyatta used to come, and he was hidden in some of the hills in Taita. So we used to hear a lot about him.
The government arrested us simply because when they saw we could have an organization of 30,000 or 40,000 or more Africans demanding their rights here, they say, we've an excuse, Mau Mau.
We knew there was a struggle for independence, but at that time, I don't think we really bothered much. I was very adventurous. So really, at my primary school education, I don't think I had any particular plan. I waited as I grew up and went to high school. I started feeling that I should be a lawyer. But along the way, I felt that I should do something more interesting. My father was in the army then. He was a chaplain in the army, and they're amongst the first officers. And the officer life, we knew there was quite interesting. But at that time, they would take me to the officers' mess, really, and you know, the standards were high, and I was encouraged. So I went for interview. They interviewed us at Langata Barracks, and I was picked as one of the cadets. So after that, then I went for training at AFTC Lanet. And that's where I went for my initial training for an officer.
Prime Minister, the Honorable Jimmy Kenyatta.
This is one of the happiest days of my life. Uhuru!
On the 1st of June 1963, we celebrated our first Madaraka Day. The challenge of nations.
People are waiting for this. First of all, other countries around, they got their independence. I think Tanzania got it first and whatever. And Kenya were busy waiting now. People, you can see they are getting excited. So when it was mentioned, it is on the 12th of December, everybody was looking forward. I used to stay in Eastlands. We had to walk all that way to Uhuru Gardens. And one, you can't enter. You are not invited. So we all sit outside looking for what is going on in the stadium.
Our beautiful national flag went up to replace the Union Jack forever.
The most exciting thing is seeing Kenya flag go up and the other one coming up. Now being Barclays Bank, and we are the first Africans, we managed to be very friendly. Kenyans, I think they are very friendly. We are friendly with the people we are working with, and especially there was a young man called After Singh. He started telling me, no, now you must apply for this. That is now in preparation of the independence. So I sent my photo to the nation. Oh, and they started showing it. The people are telling me, oh, we saw your photograph. Well, and the first lady, Mrs. Kenyatta, was to crown Miss Uhuru. The people chose who won, and I won. I knew Mzee Kenyatta because my home in Kiambu is on the highway to Githunguri. He was a teacher at Githunguri Kiawairera, where he used to teach. And every time he would always come in and say hello to my father. My father used to grow all kinds of trees, seedlings, and things like that. Many missionaries used to come and buy those trees, and or even the settlers. We have quite a number of settlers around us, or coffee growers and all that. So they used to come and buy. So Mzee used to come and put his stake at the door there. All we can do there, young girls, is to go and see this stake. You know, it's full of, it's so nicely decorated. But after that, he goes on to Githunguri. When I was in Barclays Bank, there was this call coming from somebody. And I remember the Guan person who was the head of my department. He picks the phone and he's asked to, can he give it to Mombi to speak to the phone? He said, no, Mombi is very busy. Okay, another call comes. Can I speak to Mombi? Hey, this man, I told you she is busy. The third came. Can I speak to Mombi? Before you say anything, do you know who is speaking? Well, then he realized the voice. He has heard the voice. That's when he gave it to me. And I talked to Mzee Kenyatta. And he said, if you are free, can you come to the office? That is Prime Minister's office in Harambee House. He called Duncan Degwa, and he asked Duncan Degwa the job we wanted. One, to help Mrs. Kenyatta on their homes, the children, you know, this kind of thing, social secretary, it involves quite a bit. Degwa was told, now, we will arrange for that and all that, and me, I went back to Barclays, and it was arranged, and then I was called, and I started working with Mzee Kenyatta.
I'd been to the UK to do a platoon commander's course, and I was now back, and I was serving in my first base, which was Mandera, commanding a platoon there and fighting the shift. That's where I was. Then I came back to Nairobi. While in the barracks, I was not the first ADC. There was a Captain Odhiambo who was ADC to the governor. So he took over and ushered Mzee in. After that, there was a Brigadier Mkungusi later. He also was there. From Kungusi, there was another one, Bernard Kilu. He left. All this time, the army commander chose who was to go there. After Bernard Kilu's term, they took Captain Muyu. And because of misconduct, the president fired him from the army. And from there, the president said, I'm not going to ask you to send me, an officer. I want to interview them myself. So the army commander started sending officers for interview. Now, he did not want to send me for interview because they had already arranged a course in the UK, a staff intelligence course for me, and I was to follow it with a staff course. So he wasn't very keen for me to go there. But anyway, 3 of them went, they turned them away. Another lot of 3 went, they said, no, I haven't seen the one I want. Then I went with another officer. So he saw the other officer, he left, let him go. Then I was called in for interview. And they interviewed me. Now, I can't tell you what questions they asked me. All I remember is, at the end of it, Charles Njonjo, he was sitting there with Kenyatta. He said, take a newspaper there and read these paragraphs. So I took the newspaper and I read 2 passages. Then Njonjo turned to Mzee and told him, Mzee, that is English. I stood. When they were asking me all these questions, I was standing, right? So I was impressed by Mzee's, staring at you in the eyes, and he has very sharp eyes. And I made sure I also looked back. So anyway, after that, then when they called the army commander, Brigadier Hardy, he told him, this is my man. So we walked out. I had interesting moments. His state house. Mzee used to go and stay at Mombasa many holidays, August and December. And we used to have many traditional dancers and choirs coming from all parts of the coast. Now, the Tatars, used to come with very good choirs. They were well known, they were good singers and so on. One day, the choir came and they sang beautifully. The soloist was a very beautiful girl, but pitch black. So mzee turns to me and says, ADC, Wajaluo walikuja huko Taita wakaharibu rangi ya Taita.
I had already met most of the ADCs. We had worked with them, and they had left. And we used to work together, because in State House, as a home, you have to work together. You can't afford to work by yourself. So I used to work with the military, with the police, with every other person. And at the same time, I have Mzee Jomo Kenyatta's and Mama Ngina's children. So I used to also take Uhuru to school. Uhuru, Bohoho, and Njogabi, I had to take them to nursery school. So when there was free time, I know that's what you're trying to find out, and he knew how to play
Billiards.
billiards.
There was a billiards table. So I knew she was a bit lonely. So after 6 or 7, I'll come to State House to teach her how to play billiards. That's why we started cementing our relationship, if you will. That I used to come and teach her. We had to be cautious. Obviously, with the president, we didn't know how he would react. So we were very cautious in what we were doing, whether it's going to the movies, quietly and all that. But he caused me some damage. Because at that time, when we had gone that far and we are talking about marriage, I had just been appointed to go and command the parachute company. I had trained as a paratrooper. So I was trained to go and command the parachute company and develop it into a battalion. That was my assignment, specifically given. So when he goes and tells Mzee that he may have to join me if I go to Gilgil, Mzee calls the army commander and tells him, who is this major who wants to take the social secretary to the commander-in-chief? Get him to come back to Nairobi. So I lost my appointment and I'd come back to do staff work. So she messed me up there. By the time of Mzee's death, I had already left the army and I was working at the breweries. So one of the officers from the Air Force rang and told me, Mzee is dead. Then now, that time she had traveled to the UK. They had a Girl Guide mission. So I started looking for her. At that time, they were on the train. It so happened that once you go to Scotland, she also learned about it. So she came back to London, and we were able to link there. And I told her what had happened, and then she also was able to talk to State House, and then the travel arrangements were properly coordinated.
That night, I had a very disturbing night. Even when we sleep, I was sleeping, this lady, the room will come light. Oh, then it will go. Then I'll hear Koinange telling me, Mumbi, Mzee is calling you. Oh. I came to London, stayed with the doctor and Mrs. Jenga, and then I flew back. So many people were coming. They wanted to see the body. And the army also was very good because they kept on changing his body and whatever was to be done. And the doctors in charge, they were also very nice.
I think serving the army is a very honorable thing for this country. And at the moment, the way the army has developed, I'm most encouraged. During our time, there were so many limitations. But today they are being sent to various courses and they're very educated and, you know, they're really on the ball with whatever is happening in the world. Those early days, that opportunity was not there. So it is different today, and I'm very proud of what our soldiers do and what they have grown to learn to do, and the academic qualifications which are now required to be able to join the army. I would encourage anybody to join the army. And once you can instill discipline, this country will be a great place. Because without discipline, you can't move. But you'll see that those people who are properly disciplined, even in the army, they're the ones who progress. So even the discipline we talk of, whether it's in the civil service and all that, is critical. So the army is a good background.
I did not get that more trainings, but my leaders from there and all those who are guiding us, they had a lot of knowledge of what should be. I am dealing with the queens, I'm dealing with the kings, I'm dealing with the emperors, I'm dealing with the prime ministers and everybody, the heads of state and the head of governments. But because by then they used to stay and sleep in State House. So again, I had to learn from them what they want. You had to coordinate and work together.